Everyone thinks the Megalodon was the king, but we are wrong. The Megalodon was just a warm-up. Today, we are ranking the 10 deadliest sea monsters of all time. And the creature at number 1? It makes the Megalodon look like a snack. We hit our first mark at 85 feet. Welcome to rank number 10, the Nothosaurus. At 15 feet long, this is the smallest creature on our list. But don't let the size fool you. This was a shallow water nightmare. Imagine you are standing in the ocean just waist deep. The sand shifts beneath your feet. That isn't the tide. That is the monster. It hid in the sand, waiting for food to drift too close. When it struck, it unleashed a terrifying trap. Its teeth were long, jagged needles. They locked together like a zipper. Once those jaws snapped shut, there was no way to wiggle free. The Nothosaurus earns its place for creating one of the earliest and most effective ambush tactics in prehistory. Small, silent, and unstoppable. The perfect predator prototype. But the real giants are waiting deeper down. You're about to meet one of the ocean's earliest tanks. Number 9. Ruling the ancient seas about 210 feet below the surface during the Devonian era, Deadliest was one of the earliest true apex predators in history. At nearly 30 feet long, this prehistoric fish looked like a swimming fortress, its head and torso encased in armor-plated bone. It didn't have sharp teeth, like modern sharks. Instead, its jaws were made of two massive bony plates that formed natural blades. When those jaws slammed shut, they hit with a bite force of nearly 8,000 pounds. Powerful enough to shear through armor, bone, or even metal. Each strike created a suction effect that pulled prey straight into its mouth before crushing them in half. The Deadliest was raw, mechanical destruction, nature's first underwater tank. It earns its spot at number 9 for being one of Earth's earliest examples of unstoppable power and precision. That was brute force at its best, armor and muscle in motion. But now, let's trade armor for speed. At around 450 feet deep in the warm Cretaceous oceans swam Xiphactinus, a 20-foot predator scientist nicknamed the bulldog fish. Its body was sleek and muscular, built for bursts of speed that could reach 40 miles per hour. Imagine a piranha scaled up to the size of a killer whale, and you're getting close. This monster's hunting style was brutal and efficient. It didn't chew, it swallowed its prey whole. Fossils have been found with entire 6-foot fish perfectly preserved inside its stomach, proof of just how aggressively it fed. Xiphactinus earns its rank at number 8 for pure velocity and ferocity, the definition of a living torpedo. Fast, reckless, and impossible to escape. We've seen speed. Now it's time for stealth. Imagine a predator you'd never see coming until it was already too late. This next one turned silence into a weapon. Number 7 on our list is Thalassomedon. This massive hunter ruled the seas around 900 feet below the surface during the late Cretaceous period. Known as the Sea Lord, it stretched more than 40 feet long, and half of that was neck alone. Imagine a reptile so long that its head appeared first, gliding silently through the dark, while the rest of its body, 20 feet behind, powered the strike. It carried stones in its stomach to stay neutrally buoyant, allowing it to hover in perfect stillness until the moment it lunged. Thalassomedon perfected the art of the stealth strike, unseen, unheard, and unstoppable. It earns its place for turning stillness itself into a weapon. That was stealth perfected. But now it's time for impact. The next predator didn't sneak. It hit like a freight train. Number 6 is Kronosaurus. 35 feet of muscle and bone-crushing fury. This monster dominated the Cretaceous seas more than 1,500 feet below the waves. Named after the titan who devoured his own children, this predator lived up to its myth. Its skull alone stretched 9 feet long, packed with blunt, rounded teeth designed not for slicing, but for crushing. Kronosaurus rammed its prey with the impact of a freight train before clamping down to shatter bones and shells alike. It didn't chase, it obliterated. Kronosaurus earns its place for sheer destructive power, the marine equivalent of a wrecking ball wrapped in muscle. From scales to skin, the ocean's next monster was smarter and meaner. Number 5 takes us to the Eocene era, where the oceans belonged to Basilosaurus. At depths of around 300 feet, this so-called king lizard wasn't a lizard at all, but a primitive whale. It reached lengths of up to 60 feet, with a long, sinuous body that moved through the water like an eel. Unlike modern whales, Basilosaurus didn't filter feed, it hunted. Its jaws delivered one of the strongest bites of any mammal ever to live, easily crushing the skulls of smaller whales and dolphins. Basilosaurus earns its place for being the ocean's first mammalian apex predator, sleek, serpentine, and merciless. Speed, precision, perfection. The next killer had all three. Number 4 belongs to Tylosaurus. Ruling the seas roughly 2,000 feet deep during the Cretaceous period, this marine reptile was 50 feet of speed and precision. It was built like a torpedo, with a long, reinforced snout that could ram prey at high velocity. But its deadliest trait was hidden inside its jaws, a second row of backward-facing teeth on the roof of its mouth. Once it struck, those teeth dragged prey deeper down its throat, leaving no chance of escape. Tylosaurus earns its place for being evolution's perfect combination of speed, strength, and specialized weaponry. A reptile engineered for the kill. Before we enter the top 3, we have an honorable mention: Helicoprion, a 25-foot shark that swam the Permian Seas around 400 feet deep. At first glance, it looked like an ordinary shark until you saw its jaw. Its lower teeth spiraled into a perfect coil, forming a rotating saw blade that spun backward every time it bit. Each rotation sliced through flesh like a power tool cutting through wood. Helicoprion earns its mention for sheer innovation, proof that evolution didn't just make monsters bigger, it made them stranger. All right, time to meet the giants. Coming in at number 3 is Leviathan. At 5,000 feet below the surface in the Miocene oceans, this predator terrified even whales. Stretching 60 feet long and weighing nearly 50 tons, it had the largest functional teeth of any known animal, more than a foot in length, built to puncture bone. This ancient sperm whale hunted other whales, using not just strength but strategy. Its massive brain hints at intelligence, suggesting it may have coordinated with others to take down giant prey. Leviathan earns its place for combining size, intellect, and sheer killing power. The ocean's thinking monster. Here's where things get unbelievable. Leviathan shared its world with the Megalodon, 2 apex predators, the whale with a brain and the shark with a bite, hunting in the same seas. When they met, the water itself became a battlefield of giants. Brains versus brute force. No fossils tell us who usually won, but either way, something always died. Number 2 needs no introduction. The Megalodon. Around 3,500 feet below the surface during the Pliocene era, this monster reigned supreme as the undisputed king of sharks. 60 to 70 feet long and 3 times the size of a great white, it was the largest fish that ever lived. Its jaws could open wide enough to fit a small car, and its bite force was enough to crush through steel. But its hunting strategy was just as terrifying. It targeted the fins of whales first, disabling them before delivering the fatal bite. Megalodon earns its place as nature's most efficient killing machine, a predator so perfect it dominated for millions of years. If the Megalodon ruled the surface, this one ruled everything below it. And finally, number 1, the largest marine reptile ever to exist, Shastasaurus. This Triassic-era titan lived in deep ocean waters more than 7,000 feet down and stretched up to 80 feet long, with some estimates reaching 100. But this monster didn't hunt with teeth. It hunted with volume. Its jaws opened like a vacuum, sucking in schools of fish and cephalopods in one massive gulp. Shastasaurus didn't stalk its prey. It consumed entire ecosystems. It earns the top spot for sheer size and scale, a living submarine that ruled the oceans long before sharks or whales ever existed. And remember, we've explored less than 5% of our oceans. If the deep still hides its secrets, maybe giants like this aren't as extinct as we think. Because down there, the rules never changed. Only the monsters did.